Hi, lovelies. Hi, lovelies. Welcome. So happy to have you. First Peter 1, verse 2 says, Grace and peace be yours in abundance. This is my affirmation, declaration, and pronouncement over your life this evening as we begin another episode of Talk Truth presented by Women Healing Together. Welcome. I'm Copson Francis, founder of Women Healing Together, and this is your safe space and place where we deal with all things women. Thank you so much for coming. Please, if you are here live, I would like for you to put in the chat, let us know where you're coming from, which part of the world. And I also want you to take this opportunity to send the link to another sister, whether you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube or YouTube channel. Send the link to other ladies because this conversation, you do not want to miss it. Trust me. All right. Hey, okay, so our first lovely is here. Thanks for these topics. Keep on doing great shows. You are welcome. And thank you for joining us in for 1226. Thank you. We appreciate it. So, Talk Truth, we're back. This is season 3, episode 2. We started last month, and we're here the last Sunday of each month. As I always say, let's dig in. I want to introduce you to our lovely ladies who are a part of the panel for this evening. First, we have Mrs. Maureen Kelman. Hey, Maureen.
Hey, thanks for having me, Popson.
You are welcome. You are welcome. This lady right here has been a friend for a good little bit. And I'm so grateful that you're in the life of my husband and myself. And we're going to learn so much about you today.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Our second guest is Shada Richards. Hey, Shada.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Now, before we started, we were chatting a bit backstage, and I was saying to Maureen that Shada and I have been friends. She is the friend I've known the longest to date, right? So we met 2021. Both of us were 12 years old, and we started high school, and we're still friends, and it's such a blessing. So happy to have you.
It is.
Okay, perfect. Now we have another person. Hi. Okay, perfect. So I don't think I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but correct. I'm just gonna call you O. O is here from Jamaica. Thank you so much for joining, and please share the link. Now today's topic is: am I losing myself while momming? Am I losing myself as a woman because I'm a mother? Are you ladies ready for this conversation?
I am.
Shada, you look a little bit nervous. Are you?
I'm just saying. I was doing all the momming on my way here earlier.
Okay. All right. Now, before we start the conversation, for those of you who are joining us, Facebook or YouTube, we want to remind you of how you can stay connected with Women Healing Together. So we're going to show you all our Facebook handles and also our Gmail account. So here you go. Stay connected. All right, perfect. Thank you so very much. We want to give a big shout out to O because O says it's her first time joining a live, but it's not your first time doing one of the videos on Women Healing Together. So thank you so much for joining. Maureen.
Yes.
Shada.
Yes.
Talk to us about your motherhood journey. Maureen, the first question is give us a synopsis. How many children do you have? How
So,
old are they? That type of thing.
all right. So I'm a mother of two. They're now 29 and 27. But there was a time when there were 2 and 0, 3 and 1, which meant I had two kids in diapers and having bottles at the same time. And all of that was concurrent with me building my career. So I know a thing of or two about what it is to be a mother while you're still building a career. So they're now
Perfect.
29 and 27.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I saw Shata before you comment. I'm seeing Lavina. You carry Lavina on the live today.
All the massive.
Ah,
All the massive.
all, all the Saint Jago massive. Welcome. Lavina, mwah, mwah, mwah. It's been ages, darling. Shada, motherhood. How many children? Age?
Oh Lord, it's one full 7-month-old baby in the
Wow.
midst of doing a lot of things. My hands are full and I haven't quite gotten that balance yet.
Mhm.
But trust me, it is rough in these motherhood streets.
Merciful Father. For
Mhm.
those persons who are in the motherhood streets, as Shada puts it, put it in the chat. How many children do you have? Are you momming it or are you just trying to survive? Both of you said something very important. Maureen said, I was at a point when I had a 1 year old and a 3 year old and I was trying to build my career. Back then, Shada, you are saying I'm doing that right now. So I want to hear about both perspectives. Maureen, what
Yeah.
was it like then? And Shada, what is it like now?
So, you, again, everything I'm going to say is from my perspective. And what I will say is that it's very, very easy to lose yourself while mothering. And for me, did I lose myself? No. But what made that possible? There are 3 points that made it possible for me not to lose myself. The first one is I had a very strong support system, very strong support system. I had my own family, my husband's family, and my husband himself. I also learned very, very early on that I could not compare myself to other mothers.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I learned that very
Nice.
early on. And the third thing is that I made a promise to my 9 year old self that I kept. I will tell you
Nine
about
year
that.
old?
When I was 9, I made a promise to myself and I kept that promise. I will tell you more about the promise a little later.
Wonderful. I
Yes.
love that point. The point you made about I made a decision not to compare myself to other mothers.
Yeah.
Shada, have you
Mhm.
experienced that? Your baby is 7 months old. What's happening? Building that career and taking care of a newborn baby.
Let me tell you, it is. I said it before. It is rough. I mean, I'm here. I am going fully juggling multiple jobs. You know, I lecture, I do project management, I do research, you know, and being that mother, it's not the same as others. And I have to recognize, I loved what Maureen said. You cannot compare yourself to other mothers because while motherhood is something we share, everyone's journey is different.
Different.
It is not going to look the same, and what my mother would have experienced, I can't experience. So she can come from morning till night and say, oh, when she had me or my other sisters, she had to do this and that. But the fact is, it's totally different circumstances, different contexts, different variables that we're dealing with. And trust me, I have one and I feel like I'm drowning. So I can just imagine Maureen. And should I add that I'm also doing a course that's feeling like I'm doing another master's. So you can just imagine all that I am doing and how it is. It's very rough to juggle. And you know, you want to be able to spend the quality time with your child, especially build a bond in the young years. Pops and you and I know that my little journey started out very rough, so I still have to be going back and forth to the hospital. I mean, when I just had him, I was back and forth to work and hospital 3-4 times a week. right? The other day at the March, I put on a huge forum, and at that time I had to be back on. Good thing that the forum was by the hospital, so I had to be running over to the forum to ensure that everything is all right, running back to the hospital to ensure that okay, I'm hearing what the consultant is saying, and then back over there.
Yeah.
See, it is a lot, and hosting a huge forum, it is a lot. But luckily, I had team members there who could fill in the gap, and luckily I had mommy who could be there with me. So you're
Mhm.
very important,
Yeah.
and we probably need to say not village, but we need a whole army.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
so Maureen, you want to chime in? Thank you so much for
But
sharing that,
yeah,
Shada.
so I understand where Shatha, where you are, because in my case, again, I had two kids. The one was 0 and 2, and for 34 years I work as an actuary, so taking actuarial exams at the same time. There's absolutely no way that I could have done what I did without, as I said, the army of people around you.
Mhm.
And as I said, and at the time when I had my kids, because I had my first child at 25, the second at 27, most of my friends were building their career, so I didn't have too many friends who had children the same time that I did.
Mhm.
And so was it rough? Yes, but those 3 points is what I said kept me grounded. Um, one of the things that I want the listening audience to understand is that everybody's journey is different. And I do not want anyone on the line to feel bad if what they're going through may not look like what either of us are going through, because everybody's journey is different. But I strongly believe that, especially for career women, and again, I was also in a very high pressure career, it's it's almost impossible for you to maintain your sanity if you're going to try to do this alone. You definitely need an army behind you. You do. And that's one thing that I have to stress. You need the support.
Right. So one of the things, that's an important point, because what about women who don't even have one person, much less an army? No wonder so many women are losing themselves in motherhood. And it's challenging. I've seen my mother do it with young children. I've seen so many other women do it. Those and I also think about the added pressure. For you and Shada, you're professional women. You have your degrees. You are able to finance yourself. I think about those women who are struggling. Hand to mouth, Maureen. Hand to
Well,
mouth.
but and I think, and I really believe that's where what you're doing is so important, because it no none of us can act as an island. We can't. It is, motherhood is hard to begin with.
Yes.
What I experienced, of course, during the time when my children were young, because again I had two kids in diapers and bottles at the same time. Of course, lack of sleep, um, lack of lack of well, in my case, I had to find time for myself. Again, I told you I had a promise that I made to my 9-year-old self, so I had to find the time. But what did that look like for me? There's no way that I could get up in the morning and go exercise. That was just not possible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I had to see what worked for me. And what worked for me is that during my lunch hour at work, I had that time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a gym, around the corner from my office. So of course, every lunch hour I was in a gym. People thought I was in there to try to look like Miss Fitness. The answer is no. It was for my sanity. So yeah,
Whoa.
it was for my sanity. It was not because I wanted to look at Miss Fitness Queen. It was for my sanity. And for many times I hear women making excuses that they feel guilty about taking care of yourself. But the truth is, if you do not take care of yourself, then you will not have enough in you to take care of anything or anybody else. So it is necessary to take care of yourself and not feel guilty about it.
That is such a powerful, powerful point. And I want to get the comments of the ladies and the men, because I know some men are here who are joining. If you're a mom or guardian, have you ever felt guilty for taking time for yourself? Especially when you have the babies, the toddlers, have you ever felt guilty, and how did you overcome that? Have you overcome that? And while you're commenting in the chat, I want to welcome Tara. I see you, Tara. Hey, Tara is here. Shamika is here. And Camelia, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Welcome to Women Healing Together. Our engineer is going to put in the chat the links. So if you are new to the channel, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. So those links will be coming in the comments. All right. Hi, Michelle. Good afternoon. We're talking about, are women losing themselves while being mothers? And Maureen, you are at such a critical point where the children have grown up, right? We're
Yes.
going to touch on that because I think a lot of mothers, they are so engrossed, they're so involved in nurturing the child that they forget that one day they are going to leave, but we're going to touch on that part.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you think about what it was like before you have children? What was your a typical day in Maureen's life like? And Shada, I want to know what a typical day in your life was like before you had a beautiful baby boy.
Okay. So I'll welcome again, Shanna. For me, before I had children, I was building my career. Of course, I'm a college graduation. I'm a college grad. My degree was in mathematics. I entered the field of actuary, which is excessively difficult field to begin with, and tremendous amount of exams. So that was what my life looked like. Um, the good thing is I was never, because I studied so much, I never spent time like watching TV and all that stuff. But what I did even pre-children is that I was always active. I enjoyed the outdoors. So my entire life revolved around, again, building my career, tons and tons of studying, taking actuarial exams, and exercising. That's what it was like. I never watched TV because I was never had time for any TV like that. So
Right,
that's what my life looked like before kids.
right. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Shada, anything ring a bell? What was Shada Richard's life like
Listen,
before the baby?
listen, I was living life. I mean, I was doing, much about the same things that Maureen was. I was, going well. I thought I was moving on up career wise. I'm switching positions, but I'm also, going out. If I feel like turning my car to the north coast when I'm leaving work, my car is going on the north to south highway. If I feel like going on the south coast one week, and I'm going there. If I feel like I don't want to come home and I want to stay out somewhere, I'm there, there. But then, this little bundle came and
I'm sensing the nostalgia. Like
I
I
didn't have
wish,
I didn't
like
have I
yeah,
didn't have a chance to live life. I was just studying and building my career. That's what I was doing.
I'm
I didn't even
telling
have
you,
a chance
and
to
I
live
was
life.
booking flights.
oh, I was talking to my husband the other day,
Yeah.
and I said to him, yes, we want children, but one of the things I am not concerned, is it concerned, not worried, concerned about is how much your life changes.
Yeah.
You can get up when you want. You
Mhm.
can decide not to cook breakfast if you don't want to cook breakfast.
I'm
How
telling
does
you,
life change? I want you to think about that question.
I can't
And
see.
before you respond, there is a comment in the chat. I asked the question about mom guilt, and thank you so much. Camellia says, I have not overcome that guilt, but I have realized that my health will suffer and everything falls to pieces. That's what Maureen was saying.
Exactly.
And we're going to talk about that mom guilt as we go on. What can we do to overcome that? Before we do that, I want to remind you about the 4 E's that we here at Women Healing Together help you to accomplish. So we're going to show you that right now, the 4 E's. So please consider again being a part of the WHT family. All right, perfect. So here are the 4 E's. Just could you remove that comment, please? Thank you. So allow you to embrace self worth and find inner peace, enjoy happy and healthy relationships, equip yourself with knowledge to make better choices so you can be a better woman. And we also empower you so you can empower other women and girls. This is our big 4E promise statement. Bring back Maureen and Shada. How has life changed, Shada, since your bundle of joy? Is he still a bundle of joy?
That's what I said.
It gets frustrating sometimes. I have to be honest. Um, you know, I felt like I was cheated.
Mhm.
The fact that, people present this motherhood, and yes, it is a beautiful thing, but we present it with, sunshine and roses and flowers, and oh my God, it's the most wonderful thing in the world. And they don't talk about the downside, the frustration, right? Your health, and Kimila spoke about health. I know that. Trust me, my health has run down. I mean, at one point in December, with all that up and down, as I spoke about earlier, back and forth between hospital and work and running like all over the place, um, my health went down. I was sick in December. Normally, I'm up for my birthday. On my birthday, I was in bed in pain. It was horrible. And, there's a lot of things that come on, our mental health, our emotional, even the physical, because, the whole bounce back, we're women, sometimes, we want to get back to normal, what normal is to us. So there's a lot of things that suffers when we take on this role as mother. It is a very heavy role, and I appreciated it before, but when the shoe was put on my foot, on my feet, trust me, I got a deeper appreciation for my mother and all the other mothers before me and who are out there, all my friends who were mothers. Trust me, I get it, and I get it plus 1,000 times get it. I'm just telling you, that is how deep it is. There's a lot to unpack when it comes on to this motherhood business. There
Yeah.
is so much there, and I don't think we have even begun to brush the surface of how, yes, it's wonderful, but even how it affects us.
Wonderful. In fact, when you made the comment about people not showing us as women the realities of motherhood, Michelle Stewart said, "Who said that? It no floor, like really?" Oh, but it's the truth, Maureen. When
Yeah,
people talk, when you see
someone is.
the mother commercials on the internet and on TV, it's flower, it's nice, baby. Ooh, yeah. What was yours? How did your life change?
Again, I like the fact that we're keeping it real. Uh, and there are some things that Michelle that I mean Shatha just mentioned that I kind of jotted down because again, you are at a place where I was many years ago. But I remembered when I had my first child, I remembered watching. So of course, what changed for me is I was home alone with this new person, you
Mhm.
know, alone and not getting any sleep at all. People would tell you that after 3 months or so, the child would sleep. My first son did not sleep until maybe a year or two. As a matter of fact, the boy's still not sleeping, and he's now 29. But and I remembered, true story. I remembered I was watching the TV, and the news was on, and it told about a story of a woman who was arrested because she threw her baby out the window. And I looked at that screen. I was like, I understand that woman, because
Mm.
I feel like throwing mine out the window right now too, you know. And instead, I called my mother and said, "Mom, can you come over and take this child away from me?" But was that real? She obviously didn't have the support she needed at that time. She threw her kid out the window, and I understood it immediately, which
Mhm.
scared me, which really
Mhm.
scared me because I recognized then that with like zero sleep, this newness, your breast swollen, you know, all of that stuff happening.
Yeah.
I needed the support. So that's why I'm happy that in my case I had the support. And is so important. I know I probably sound like a broken record right now, but we need it. So Shannon, there are quite a few other things that Shannon mentioned. I call her Shannon.
Shava.
Yeah, that mentioned that I realized, of course, I understand it immediately, but I also realized that the difference between where you are as a mother and where I was when I started a mother is a little bit different, because in my case, I didn't have a chance to live life as yet. I was so busy building a career, I didn't live no life. So in my case, I didn't have a, I didn't miss what I never had. You know,
Mm.
yeah, and I never missed what I never had. But I can understand your transition, which will be even a lot harder than my transition, because you were accustomed to living life. You know, I was just accustomed to working and studying and building with no other life. So
Right.
yeah, I had no life as an actuary, trust me. So that was a little different. But
Yeah.
can I just say something, Pops, and hopefully you could say this. I think it's so important for us as women to give ourselves some grace. So
Ah,
it is so important. And again, I had to learn that early on. I had to. And I want to tell you about my experience as a 9-year-old.
yeah. We will come to it because at
It's
the
the
end
right
of the day, we want to know how is it that women can prevent themselves from being lost while being mom? And I want to bring up a comment. I don't, let me see who it was who did that comment. Michelle says being a mom is one of the hardest things. It comes with headache, heartache, tears, and pain. And when Shava said, after having my son, I had a greater appreciation for my mom. I think so many women, after having a child, they're thinking the same thing. Mommy, for all the heartache, for all the trouble, for all the headache, like, forgive me. Did you have that experience, Shada?
Of course. So how did you have three? I mean, wanna mash me up. So how you manage to have three? Because here I am. I mean, at this point, still doing a bag of things, and even studying. I don't know how you found it, Maureen, but
It's
when
hard.
I could keep up 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and I'm still doing what I'm doing, like no, when I have classes, I'm calling like, are you going to throw me out of the class now?
Mhm.
Because when you want to do what you want to do, when you want to do assignments, you're trying to pay attention in class, and even when you do have help, sometimes the child only wants you. And so
Mhm.
I remember one evening in class, I was frustrated. I turned off that computer and shut it down. One Sunday, I sit down and I say, I'm going to drop out of this class.
Wow.
I'm not a quitter, but I just reached that stage. And
Mhm.
then I say, let me just try to push through because I'm finding myself behind. This is something new. I mean, this has never happened. I'm used to like, doing the thing. I'm
You're
not.
always bright, in other words. Yeah, just say
No,
it.
I'm
Just,
not. No,
I
I'm not.
pray for you.
Yeah. But that's what I'm trying. I'm just saying you were just so free to do
Yeah.
what you could do when you want at any time. And now you're so limited. It's like you have these strings pulling you and you have no control over your time. For me, that is. The only time I get control is when I'm out of the house and away from the child. But once I am there, anywhere near, who
Mhm.
is me?
Yeah. Michelle actually says, Shava, that you truly have to love your child or children to really do your motherly duty. And I hear it, I see it, I appreciate it. And I also think about some of those women who hurt their children.
Hmm.
And
Mhm,
some persons may stay on the sidelines and say, how could she? But
mhm,
Maureen, you had an encounter where you had to call your mom and say, Mom,
mhm,
help me.
Absolutely. One of the things about, as I said, media and all type of media, it paints the picture of perfection. I mean, I was on Instagram this morning and there's a young lady who gave birth maybe 2 days ago. And of course, full faced, And I'm like, who be having full face right after they give birth to a baby? That's not real, you know? It's just not real. And and when you're getting like no sleep and you have this child crying 24/7, or hang off your breasts,
Mm-hmm.
or it is tough. It
Yeah.
is tough. Um, so I said something, and I have to mention this to my young queen who just, my sons are now 29, 27, but I remember very clearly. As I said before, one of the things that I had to do was to not accept the mom guilt. No, was it thrown my way? Absolutely. It was thrown my way a lot. And sometimes the persons who you would think would be your best supporters, they're the one who try to make you feel most guilty. So
Mm-hmm.
so no, my kids did not go to no piano lessons. And no, they did not go to every little extracurricular, everything out there. No. I had to see what worked well for me, what worked well with the time that I had, and literally block away what other everybody else's expectation for me was. I had to see what was real for me,
Hmm.
and again for my family. So thank God I have a support system. I have a husband who was very supportive, and thank God for that. And both of us had to literally close the doors on a few persons.
Whoa.
We
Good
had we,
point.
we had to, because otherwise, how are you gonna survive? And the truth is, for our friends who didn't have children at that time, they did not understand what it was. They did not understand. So we had to make a few choices, which was a little bit hard, but we
Yeah.
had to, because it came down to, what am I as a woman going to do to survive? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
to survive. That's what it
Yeah.
comes down to,
Yeah.
and be the best self for your child.
Right.
That's what it came down to.
I
That,
want to
yeah.
hang on to something before you move on, Popson.
Sure.
Talking about throwing away the child, and Maureen, you want to give up a child. We
Mhm.
know I don't think we really delve down into this postpartum depression, and that
And
it
we will actually have an episode on that
for
for sure.
several years. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that is something that affects us for several years. And I mean, I'm probably still going through it, but I only recognize it because I've been educated to recognize. I've been educated and I'm well read, and you see the things, so you know what it is that is causing these types of feeling. The thoughts that come in your head right after. But a lot of people don't recognize this, and probably if they had persons who are even older around them, they might not understand, because you know a lot of time we think that people are aware, but people really are not aware as
Hmm.
much as we think. So sometimes we assuming that
Mhm.
people know, but people really don't know, and that is something that we really need to pay attention to as mothers, especially in several years. I actually think that I recognize, I've shared this, that I need to talk to someone,
Yeah.
right? Because I found myself immediately after having my son, and sometimes I don't even know because we're here and this is supposed to be a safe space, and
It is. It
trying
is.
to help someone, even how my child came into the world having an emergency C-section. I grappled with saying that I gave birth, right? I
Mhm.
couldn't see myself as having given birth, because immediately after I just felt as if I was just carrying something. I was just a surrogate, and somebody came and took the child. That wonderful feeling that I hear people talk about. Oh, when you see your child, is going to be the love of your life, and oh my God, I did not experience that.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe it was
One moment, Maureen. Yes.
maybe
Hmm.
it was just too much trauma around it, but I really did not feel that way.
Yeah.
I went back when he was in NICU and I was looking at him. I was just looking at this little creature and saying, that's just my responsibility. But
Mm.
I didn't feel that outpouring or overwhelming love that I've heard so many women talk about. And I was really wondering, what is something wrong with me? Why don't I feel like this? And then, Maureen, I know you mentioned having a partner who was supportive, and that is very important. And I think that men need to, I don't know if they need a class, several classes, but they need to understand that the period from being pregnant, post pregnancy, especially immediately after, it is such, I mean, I was a whole different person,
Mhm.
in terms of, emotional and feeling all vulnerable. That is the emotional shadow. That's just not me.
Right.
But here I was being all emotional, feeling all vulnerable. You really need. I mean, you are in need at that time, and you're in need post that. And I don't think they get it. I don't know when they will ever get it. Some get it,
Yeah.
but I've spoken to quite a few women, and that is something that is key and important, because we need that support,
Yeah.
because what we carry is so heavy.
Mhm.
Yeah, we need a little share the load,
I
right?
think the other day we're having the episode, sorry, Shada,
That's
um,
fine.
episode one, and a man actually came on the live, Maureen, and he said the men need to be a part of Women Healing Together. And
Mm-hmm.
after we did that live, a husband actually saw me and he said, I wasn't able to join the live, but I sat down and I watched it after. And I said, why did you watch it? It's a women's program. He says, I have a wife. So
Mm-hmm.
I have to understand what is happening with my wife. So the best place to be is in conversation where women are the ones who are leading the conversation. Maureen, I know you want to chime in. I'm going to take a few comments and then please don't forget your thoughts. And then here's the question I want to come after. Did you lose yourself, Maureen? Shada, are you losing yourself? We're going to come back to that question. It's a deep question. Dose of Judeen says in the comments, it is indeed a struggle. And most times as women, it's not fair. But we have to be holding ourselves up when our emotions is all over the place. That's what Shada was saying. But I believe if we exercise patience, but I believe if we exercise patience, we can actually go through. That's so true. That's so very true, Judy. Let's go to the other comment. Michelle said they, meaning women, they break down after child's birth. Some women, so times when there is no one around to help them. That's why I said to Maureen has a partner. Or you have your husband, Shada, you have your mother, you have the father of your child. What about those women who have nobody? No source of income, trying to survive. What about that teenage mom who's been ridiculed by the fact that she had a baby in the first place? It's serious. Let's go to some other comments on screen as we see what the women are actually saying. I know earlier Shamika said she had to go and maybe apologize to her mom for all the heartache and pain. A dose of Judean said, put God in the midst. Then from experience, I know as the day goes by, it becomes easier. So true. Melissa said the scary thing is that I understand how and why some women hurt their children. I don't condemn, I sympathize. And Melissa says postpartum depression is very real. And we do here at Women Healing Together depend on God to take us through. But as Shada says, sometimes we have to reach out for professional help. Camila says postpartum depression is grossly underestimated, and the percentage, could I get that back, please? And the percentage seems to be higher than what is statistically represented or presented. We're going to have an episode just on that. Maureen, what were you saying?
Okay, so it turned out that my experience with my first child, which led to my experience with my second child, is very similar to yours, Sasha.
Shaka. It's okay. She doesn't mind. Say Richard. Miss Richards.
Miss Richard, how about that? Don't worry, because I have my tongue twists up with the S and the TH.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So, in my case, I also had 9 glorious months of pregnancy. I was the picture of health and glow. And on the last day, I also had an emergency C-section because in his case, the umbilical cord was wrapped up on his neck. So they had to they had to knock me out, full knockout, and cut me from navel down. So I have a scar going down, not across. And he has a scar in the back of his neck, even to this day. That's how traumatic it was for me. And so I understand very well what you also went through, because I also went through a traumatic birthing experience after 9 months of bliss. And my second child, again, my children are exactly 2 years and 2 weeks apart. So my second child was not planned. Well, none of my kids were planned. Let me not try play. So there's no planned pregnancy here. And so when I conceived my second child, when I did not expect to conceive my second child, and it was conceived 3 months into the pregnancy, I went to the doctor and said, "Listen, let me pick a date from now because I'm not going to try doing the natural birth thing. That's not going to happen because I was so traumatized." And then after he was born, I did the most dramatic birth control method. I don't have to specify, but I was like, I'm not going through this again. So literally, so I'm being real. So was I traumatized? Absolutely. And then you have to go through the healing process. And again, my cut is down, not across. So you have to go through the healing process. So absolutely. So I think where you and I differ, Miss Richards, is you grew up in a time of social media and all. I'm now in my 50s, so I didn't have any of that distraction.
Log on.
So I didn't look at any comparison of who was doing, as I said, full face after you just gave birth. I didn't have any of that to compare myself with. So to me, I think that one of the major difference between you and I is that you have been exposed more to an image of what motherhood is like. I didn't have that image. So I was able to give myself more grace. I think that's the main difference. I was able to give myself more grace. And when it came to motherhood, like my mother was a teenage mother. My mother yes, she and my father got married, but she had 4 children by the time she was 22. So I grew up being sympathetic to begin with teenage mothers because my own mother was a teenage mother. 4 kids at age 22. I didn't even have my first one till anyway. So my world was a little different than maybe your world. But what I find, and if I were to say to you, if I were to counsel you on anything, is
don't counsel yet because you have the fix my crown segment. Yeah, fix my crown segment. Right. There's a comment in the chat from Mary or Married Series. Could you put that up, please? Married Series. I think that's the thank you. This video is really causing me to introspect because I know that life is real. Not yet a mother. Please pray for me, sister. Both of us here are introspecting. For those women who are here who are not yet mothers, I want to let you know that we have a program coming up. We had part 1, and then the ladies said, we want part 2, Popsan. It's called Waiting Wombs. So if you could just remove that comment for me, my darling husband engineer, and let's put up that promotion for Waiting Wombs part 2. All right. So waiting rooms, could put it back up, please? Thank you. Waiting rooms part 2 is happening on Monday, June 12th, 8 p.m. New York time. For those of you in Jamaica or in the time zone similar to Jamaica, it's going to be 7 p.m. We're going to put the link in the chat, in the comments for you to register. For those who are watching the replay of this video, I'm going to put it in the description as well as make it a pinned comment. If you are on Waiting Rooms Part 1, you do not have to re-register for Waiting Rooms Part 2. There's a QR code and there's a bit.ly link. Please go ahead and register. We're having really real conversations here on Women Healing Together. Thank you so very much for that, darling. Thank you, darling. Okay, so it's a yes or a no, and then we're going to delve into it. Maureen,
yes.
Did you lose Maureen while you were growing your boys?
For me, no.
Okay. Shada, do you feel as if you're losing Shada as you're growing your boy?
I feel so.
All right, we're going to delve into it. Maureen, if you were to give any advice to Shada at this time as we do the Fix Your Crown segment, this is the Fix Your Crown segment, what would you say to her? What is one advice you would give to say, this is why I didn't lose myself?
Just one?
All right, go give it two.
Okay, so the reason why I didn't lose myself is because I made a promise to myself when I was 9 years old. And what happened at age 9? Sometimes you're surprised what influences you. So it turned out that at age 9, that was the first time in my life that I saw a person, a woman who gave birth. And when she came back from maternity leave, she was my teacher in primary school. She gave birth, and when she came back from maternity leave, she looked physically the same. She pre-pregnancy.
Yeah,
And for the first time in my life, I saw that, because most times when women give birth, they would come back a few pounds heavier.
yeah.
She came back the way she was before. And that made an impression on my 9-year-old self. And I promised myself from that time that if I were to give birth, I will always make sure that I come back. I snap back. That's a promise I made to myself then, and I still keep that promise even now. Right now, I'm mid-50s. Most people think I'm younger because I made that promise to myself. But but the other thing that I was so one, I had a life goal which I stuck to. The other thing that I would say though to Shannon is this: being a type, because I'm also type A personality, career Miss Wall Street woman, or in your case, Miss New Kingston woman. Um, uh, so that's who I was, and we are the most difficult set of women to deal with because we're so accustomed to calling the shots. Am I correct, Miss Richards?
Yeah, you're hitting me, you know?
Oh yeah. So of course I could hit it because I'm also Miss Wall Street. So we're the most difficult women to give grace to ourselves because we're so accustomed to calling the shots. We're so accustomed to having everything perfect and done. That's us. And as there's a so did I ever lose myself at some point in my journey? The answer is yes.
Okay.
And I had to seek professional help. And when I went to my counselor, the first thing that man said to me was, dealing with type A personality women are his most difficult clients.
Wow.
And what he said, oh, he told me straight up. And he said to me, this is what I want you to do. When you go home, drop it. He said that, literally. He said, when you go home, when you're on the job, yes, it could be Miss Wall Street. But once you get to your house, drop it. He said, drop it, be a wife, be a mother. All right. And that was a little bit hard for me. I'm going to be honest with you. It was. But because my family meant so much to me, more than whatever job is paying me, and my job pays me well, I had to relearn what it was to become a little bit more humble. You know, it is okay, and because your marriage can suffer, by the way. I'm hearing like
Yes, I'm hearing a feedback too. I'm not sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
because your marriage can suffer. So you're talking about your children, not only your children, but your marriage can also suffer.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition to giving myself grace, I had to learn how to separate who I am in my career and who I am as a wife and as a mother.
Very good point.
And was it a learning process or unlearning, whatever you want to call it? The answer is yes. But the health of my family was important to me, and I'm happy I did it because now my sons are 29 and 27. They'll be gone about their business.
That's
And
right.
all I have left is my husband. I thank God, because I'm not entering a new phase in my life again, but he's still there. So it's a process. I know I'm saying a lot in a short time. I'm going to say right now, it's not an easy process, especially like how, as I said, we're Miss Wall Street or Miss New Kingston. It's not an easy process for type A personality career women, but it's a necessary process. And one day you could invite me back and I could go through the
Sure.
step by step.
Thank you so much. Shada, before we come to you, let's get some comments in. Shamika said that this conversation is deep. That is what Women Healing Together is about. It's about having real conversations that affect us as women. Camelia had a previous comment up where she said it would be nice it would be nice if we do an episode alone on cesarean section. I got you, girl. I got it down. If you did cesarean section, Shana, do you know Camellia?
Yes.
Perfect. So,
Yes.
Camellia, if you did a cesarean section, I'll get in touch with you. All right. Perfect. Queenie says, very good session. First time new subby. Welcome to Women Healing Together, Queenie 7. Um, Michelle says, as Shada said, there are times when that child needs you and you only. There's no
Mhm.
rest, no break. You just have to be the mom. They're
Mhm.
always going to be fussy until they're in their mother's arms. Merciful Father God, for those of
Mhm.
us who are not yet mothers,
Get
please
ready,
help us,
girl.
Jesus. Narissa says it is sad, but most or some of our Seventh-day Adventist husbands feel that taking care of the children are the mother's job. On, I'm not going to just
Not
say
them alone now.
Seventh-day Adventist. I'm going to say, what were
This.
you saying, Shada?
I was saying it's not them alone, girl. It's
Exactly. I'm going to say men in
worldwide.
general. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Chrissy, hi, Chrissy. Chrissy says, well, thank God for my husband. He was there right by my side. Thank you, Lord. We are celebrating you and your husband to Chrissy. Danielle Wing says, I lost a bit of myself when my boys were born. Real conversation. Real conversation. She comes back and she says, I stopped buying new clothes for myself and I reduced my self-care time drastically. Finances were low, so I often fed the family needs more than my own. Keep the other comments coming. Look here, Danielle and others, I'm so happy that you're
She's
sharing.
flowing.
What you said, Chada?
She's flowing. She's
Yes,
flowing.
she's flowing, and we're going to read them because this is the place and space for women. She
Mhm.
says, I'm getting better at it. I have two boys. My husband and I have had some serious conversations about it. He now takes the boys and praise God. He now takes the boys and allows me some time, and I literally budget me time.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think that's one of the practical. We need to have you on the show, Danielle.
Mhm.
We need to have you on the show. Deep indeed. Thank you, guys. Thank you, ladies. Very informative. Yes, Michelle. Yes, Rochelle. Very informative. No, Shada,
Mhm.
you're at a point where you feel like I'm losing me.
Mhm.
I'm losing me. If you were to talk to pre-mother Shada, knowing what you know today, and it's okay, you can take your time. We're going to go to an advertisement and we come back. Give you time to process. Pre-mother Shada, knowing what you know today, what would you say to her to make her better prepared for her bundle of joy? While you think about that, we want to tell you about our online ladies pajama party. Online ladies pajama party. It is July. That's waiting rooms, honey. Oh, perfect. So our ladies pajama, online ladies, not our waiting rooms, darling. Our ladies pajama, ladies pajama online party will be Saturday, July 22nd this year at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. if you're in Jamaica. We have an early bird registration special. So early bird registration will close this Saturday, June 3rd. Write the date, June 3rd at 11:59 p.m. It's a special early bird offer. So the registration is going to be 19.99 US dollars. For those of you in Jamaica, it's going to be 2,000. Because we know things hard, right? Going to be 2,000 Jamaican dollars. After the 3rd of June, the price is going to go up. It's going to be $29.99. So you want to register. We're going to place the link in the comments right now. What are we doing with this ladies online pajama party? A clinical psychologist, Dr. Shauna K. Wilkes, is going to join us as we talk about self-awareness. So you could take the flyer down, honey, as we talk about self-awareness. Who are we as women, Maureen? What are our goals? What are our potential? How do we come into who we were created to be? Because as you said earlier, if we are not taking care of ourselves, how can we take care of the baby and the husband and the jobs and all of that? So the link is being placed in the chat right now. Go ahead and lock in your seat for that ladies pajama party. 1999 US dollars early bird registration, 2000 for those in Jamaica. Go ahead and claim your seat. Thank you so very much. Shada, what would you say to pre-mom Shada?
I don't know if this response is going to be liked.
It's okay. It's
If
your
I'm being
truth.
honest, I probably wouldn't have had my son
Mhm,
at all,
mhm,
or I wouldn't have had him at that point. Um, and I say that because, being real, it was rough.
yeah.
Green talks about 9 months of bliss. I had 8 months of hell. I,
Wow.
it was 8 months of hell, which culminated into the most dramatic, like every time, there's not a day, I think I have PTSD, because there's not a day that I don't remember. Every time I think about it, my blood absolutely runs cold,
Mhm,
right? So I just have to be real.
mhm,
I probably wouldn't have had him if I could see into the future, right? But on the other hand, I would tell Pre-Shada to be to be prepared, to know that she can, get through anything. I've heard people say that, who is there and seeing me go through, who said that, you're strong. And I don't know if I like that term strong. I think no, I prefer the term, I'm resilient,
yeah,
right? So I would tell her that, she's resilient and she will get through, and, just possibly relax a bit more.
yeah,
So that is what I would tell her. If
yeah,
but I mean, just thinking about what happened,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
not a journey I want. This is not a road I want to walk again.
Mhm.
I don't know. I would have to get divine intervention. I'm just being honest.
Can,
It's
can I fix your crown?
my
Can I
crown.
fix your crown? Can I say to you that you are absolutely amazing? Can I say to you that I respect you so much for being vulnerable, for being authentic, and for keeping it real? This is doing you a lot of good because you're in a space where you can share what's really happening and you're helping so many other women. And while you were talking, I picture you 4 years from now, 5 years from now, 6 years from now, when you're going to say, Popson, you remember when? You're going to be 20, 27 years from now, when you're going to be like, Maureen, oh God, I remember when I had my little bundle of joy. You're going to be at that space. But until then, we are here for you. While you go through this stage of life, we're going to be here for you because women healing together, we heal so much better when we heal together. All right.
So can I
So
can I put a
can
comment?
we send, yes, can we send some love in the chat for Shada and send some love in the chat for Maureen and send some more love in the chat for Shada. We're gonna be praying for you all the time.
I'll
I'm
take
going
it.
to give you, you're welcome. We're going to end now. So in 30 seconds, ladies, Maureen, go first. What would be your last statement for this evening?
So I'm going to address Miss Richards directly. um, I want you to recognize that you went through a very traumatic experience, and it's necessary for you to get the help that you need. Necessary. If you have not made that appointment as yet, you need to make it because you have been through the highest level of trauma, and and we all recognize it right now. You mention it, so it's time for you to seek that help, and just realize uh, that this too shall pass. And in a few years, you're going to look back and you're going to be thank God that you healed, and you're going to enjoy your son and a whole lot better. But right now, it's necessary for you to get the help that you need.
Thank you. Can we put all those love coming in? Those lovely things. Oh, Shana, that's for you, girl. That's for you again, girl. You're amazing, girl. You're resilient, girl. Yes, that's all for you. And we are in this together. Shada, what
Mhm.
would be your final words?
Right. My final words to, all the wonderful ladies here and even to those who are waiting, the waiting wombs, while we recognize the heavy load that comes with motherhood, we know that it is wonderful. We have been tasked and purposed to breathe life into life. God has given us a wonderful job to mold and to make and create beautiful beings. And we should treasure that, know that, you are great. I'm using back some of the words, women, we are amazing
Yes.
because we do what men cannot do, you know, and to just believe in yourselves more and just trust in God because God has been my North Star,
Mm,
my guide to help keep me through and to keep me sane, during this time. And He will do the same for you.
lovely. Thank you so much. I don't know. Greg seems to know you, Shada. Greg says, Shada, me dupes.
Yes. And Greg is all the way in Belize. Shout out.
Oh, thank you so much. The ladies are also saying, Maureen, you're just phenomenal. Maureen, we know that long time. You're just meeting her, but we know she's phenomenal. As we close off today, I want to thank you so much, Maureen, Shada, and all the lovely ladies and the men who have joined us for this conversation. It is okay. I'll close off with this segment before I say the last word. You're welcome, darling. You're welcome. I'll close off with this segment. Truth versus feelings. Truth versus feelings. Feelings says, I have to be like other moms. I
Mhm.
have to have it all together. And if I don't, I'm a failure. That's feelings. Truth says, take it one step at a time. And there are persons who are willing to help, accept the help so we can move forward. Thank you so very much for joining us for another. I'm trying to get the camera right. Like, yeah, here, right? Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Talk Truth, presented by Women Healing Together, your safe space and place where we deal with all things women. If you have not yet joined the Women Healing Together family, I'm going to encourage you to subscribe right here to our YouTube channel, follow us on our Facebook page, and follow us also on Instagram. All handles Women Healing Together. Please remember to register for waiting rooms. It's free of cost, no charge. It's going to be a Zoom event. The registration link is in the chat right now. Waiting rooms part two. Save the date. Save the date. Save the date. For those of us as women who are not yet mothers, we also need that support. And then the next event that I want you to remember is our online ladies pajama party, Saturday, July 22nd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Early bird registration closes this Saturday, June 3rd at 11:59 p.m. The early bird cost is 19.99 US, 2,000 Jamaican dollars. And join us with Dr. Shauna K. Denham Wills, where we talk about self awareness and really becoming accepting of who we are as women. The comments are coming in. We're going to read them another time. We love you so much. God bless you. And remember, we heal so much better when we heal together. Bye.
Bye, ladies.
We're still at it.